or a suitable candidate for liberation. Okay, so this is a very interesting purport. It's basically the real purpose of Krishna consciousness. That is, how to restrain the senses from sense objects. Then one's mind is certainly steady intelligence. In other words, steady intelligence means you can always keep it focused on Krishna. So there are so many things in the material world that are enticing, that are things that distract our mind. In other words, there are weapons of mass distraction. Uh, so there's movies, there's books, there's the news. All these things take our mind away from Krishna. So we have to learn the art of uh, keeping our mind always focused on Krishna. And it's an art. It's something that is learned and practiced every day. That's why it says, Tasmat yasya mahabaho nirgrihitani sarvasaha indriyani indriyartebhyas tasya prajna pratistita. Therefore, O mighty armed one whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence. Yeah, we don't want to be half-hearted. I remember once my brother said to me, one of my brothers said, "You're a fanatic. You're always, talking about Krishna." I said, "But I'm not a fanatic." He said, "There's a line." And then sometimes I'm going this side of the line, and sometimes I go on that side of the line. But you're a fanatic. You're always on one side of the line. So, in other words, he was implying that sometimes he engages in sense gratification and sometimes he controls his sense. But that's not good. What's good is to always control the senses in Krishna consciousness. And here Prabhupada says one can curb the forces of sense gratification only by means of Krishna consciousness or engaging all the senses in transcendental loving service of the Lord. So we have a lot of senses, highly developed senses, much more than the animals. You have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. Now, animals usually have one very powerful sense. Like, for example, eagles, they can see their prey 2 miles away. They got good, sharp eyes. And there are other animals that understand things by hearing them, like elephants. They can hear long distances. And they can know, like, if there's going to be a hurricane or earthquake, they know. And they start, you know, running away, they'll because they can sense it with their senses. They're more perceptive than we are for certain things like that, like hurricanes and earthquakes. Uh, so, yeah, if you ever see an elephant starting to run away, that means the elephant knows there's something bad that's going to happen. Whereas we are not so, let's say, perceptive as some of these animals are. Animals know when it's going to be a lot of rain. Animals know when there's going to be an earthquake way before human beings. So uh, we can know things by being Krishna conscious. That is, by keeping our senses transcendentally engaged in the loving service of the Lord. Then we become more perceptive of things. The materialists that, are uh, drinking liquor or smoking marijuana, and engaging in illicit sex, things like that. Their powers of perception are not very good. They miss many opportunities of becoming Krishna conscious. I remember the best thing I did in my life a long time ago was I wanted to see Srila Prabhupada. I heard about him. I didn't know much, but I heard about him. And I had a chance to go from Paris to London to meet him. And I got there one day late. But that was the start of my Krishna conscious life. Because I associated with devotees in London, stayed there for a little while before I went back to France. And then Prabhupada started coming every year to London as well as Paris. So year after year, I was able to see Prabhupada. And sometimes I went to India and I spent time with them there also. So uh, even a moment's association with a pure devotee can work wonders for anyone. And it was a fact, when I did associate with Prabhupada, it was like a transcendental experience. One night in Vrindavan, it was dark, and I could see that it was a very warm night. So Prabhupada's bed was brought out of his room, and he walked out and got into bed, and then they put the mosquito net around him, so the mosquitoes wouldn't bother him. And I was walking toward where he was, and all of a sudden, I don't know how he did it. He said, "Harivilas." I was surprised because it was dark. He said, "Sankirtan must continue." And I said, "Yes, Prabhupada, I'll do everything I can also to make Sankirtan continue." Uh, and that was like, it was right before he was going to sleep. He was still sitting on the edge of his bed, but he was protected by the mosquito net. And he saw me. I could hardly see him. It was dark, but he saw me. He recognized me, and he said that. So I was very pleased to hear that. Okay, so uh, the uh, one can curb the forces of sense gratification only by means of Krishna consciousness or engaging all the senses in the transcendental loving service to the Lord. That means the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the skin. They should all be engaged in Krishna consciousness.
There seems to be one question raised.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Bon.
Hare
Guy.
Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Yes,
Guru,
sir. Go right
one
ahead.
question I have here is one can put the force of sense gratification on needs of Krishna or transcendental loving service of God. Is it considered done in Guru Maharaj here or the
Your voice is breaking, Prabhu.
You're
because all
breaking.
mentioned here?
Your voice is breaking.
Okay.
Go slower. Go ahead.
Okay.
That's better.
If it is easy, you
Guru
can type
Maharaj.
it, Prabhu. I can read the question for Maharaj.
Now let him try one more
Yeah,
time. Just go slow.
Yeah, I'll try one more time.
Very good.
I think they don't have proper internet. Okay, Guru Maharaj, can you hear me?
Yes, go slowly. Speak
So
slowly.
in the first sentence, it's mentioned or. Does it mean they are synonyms or are we inferring two different things?
Can you say that again? I didn't quite
in
understand.
the first sentence,
Yes.
Prabhupada writes as
One can curb the forces of sense gratification
only by means of Krishna consciousness or engaging all senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord.
So what is it you don't understand from that statement?
Are they two different things, or is it the same? Is that the question, brother?
Haribo? Haribo, can you hear
Yes,
us?
yes, Guru Maharaj. That's right. Yes, I can hear you, Guru Maharaj.
Okay, what is the question again?
Internet.
What is the question again?
It's one Prabhu mentioned. I know how to. Is it two different things there mentioned, or is it one thing?
No, it's one thing. In other words, one can
Okay.
curb the forces of sense gratification only by means of Krishna consciousness, or engaging all the senses in transcendental loving service to the Lord. It's the same thing. Whether you're engaging in Krishna consciousness or the loving service to the Lord, the same thing. The idea is being connected to Krishna through devotional service. Then you can control the senses. It's when we forget Krishna that we're in trouble. And most people have forgotten Krishna in the material worlds. They get so enticed by material things, they forget about Krishna. And only when there's danger, they remember something about Krishna. But here it says one can curb the forces of sense gratification only by means of Krishna consciousness or engaging all the senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Well, that's Krishna consciousness, engaging the senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. That's called Krishna consciousness. It's synonymous. Does it answer your question? Haribol? Does that answer your question?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. So can you hear me, Guru Maharaj?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when we say only, I know it may look a little bit of prejudiced or controversial, but how do we, if you are saying this outsider, how do we explain it, Maharaj?
Very simple. Learn how to engage your senses always in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Then you are Krishna conscious. It's through devotional service, always being engaged in acts of devotional service. Then you're Krishna conscious.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Haribol. Oh, where's the Prabhupada?
Are you saying to people who don't want to accept the Lord? Is that the question?
Here they say, because we said only in the sentence, a lot of people might say, you know, does it have to be Krishna conscious? Some people say meditation, Jnana Yoga, or let's right. For example, in the morning we were discussing somebody follows a Bhagavad Gita through Traita Siddhanta. Can we consider them as also Krishna conscious, or can we consider somebody who follows Bhagavad Gita Krishna conscious, or typically, typically we consider ISKCON as a Krishna consciousness. Is it okay to consider others Krishna conscious who just follows Bhagavad Gita or do some meditation? Because the meditation is also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. And somebody who follows Jnana Yoga, can they also curb the senses? Because Krishna said it in the Bhagavad Gita, so does it become also Krishna conscious?
No. It can't. They can control their senses for some time, but they won't be able to do it for all time. And because they'll be distracted by sense gratification. Krishna consciousness is something very special, and it's based on actual love and devotion for Krishna. And once you attain that level of love and devotion for Krishna, nothing will take your mind away from Krishna. People are simply meditating. There's so many things that takes their minds away from their meditation. See, that's why the Mayavadis, their philosophy is that, look, everything in this material world is Maya. So therefore, we have to meditate. So if you go to a Mayavadi, let's say, program, they're meditating and quietly, right? And of course, you can't do that forever. So, they meditate for half an hour, 1 hour, or 2 hours, and then they stop. They can't meditate 24 hours a day. Now, there are some Mayavadis that are stricter. They try and meditate 24 hours a day, but it's almost impossible for them to do it on a steady basis. So therefore, this is not recommended in Kali Yuga to try and meditate 24 hours a day. It was recommended in Satya Yuga. You can meditate 60,000 years. You know, Vishwamrita Muni was able to do that. But in this age, he also fell down. Yes, he also fell down. So in this age, you can hardly even meditate for an hour or two. Even that is too much. It's usually I don't know. I have never went to these Mayavadi seances when they meditate, but is it 20 minutes? Okay. Okay.
Well, Maharaj, if there is an argument that, even in devotees, people fall down. So that means like the fall down can happen at any path.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
so how do we then justify that,
Well, we can't. We don't want to justify falling down. What we want to justify is the ability of not falling down by being fully engaged in devotional service every day.
Hmm.
If we don't have to do silent meditation. We have to do devotional service. So
And we can do that 24 hours. Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, you can.
Well, essentially, right? Because that's the way we are keeping Maya away, which means that
By being engaged in service. Yes.
So that's the logic, Prabhu, because all other paths, there is a temporary restraint on the sense gratification. But whereas in Krishna consciousness, you're engaging all your senses as opposed to curbing them, but in the service of the Lord.
Yes.
And it's 24 hours. Even while you're sleeping, essentially, you are meditating on.
Well, if you decide to go to sleep early so you can wake up early to chant Hare Krishna, that means it's Krishna service. You're planning your day to become Krishna conscious. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. Let's look at proverb, Bob. Idle mind is the devil's workshop. I think that's correct.
Mm.
So what's an idle mind? You're not focusing on Krishna. So that's the devil's workshop. That's when the devil can take control of you. What's it say?
Phrase an idle mind is the devil's workshop is a popular proverb that suggests when someone is not mentally occupied, they're more likely to engage in negative or harmful activities.
Mm-hmm.
It implies that staying busy and productive helps prevent a person from indulging in destructive thought or act. The saying highlights the importance of meaningful work or focus to maintain mental health and well-being. Though its exact origins are unclear, the phrase has roots in Christian teaching and moral philosophy, where idleness has long been considered as a gateway to temptation or sinful behavior.
Yeah, when in Krishna consciousness, idle mind means, when you're not thinking of Krishna. It's the devil's workshop. So that's when your mind starts going here, there, everywhere, and you can't focus on Krishna. That's why we chant Hare Krishna. Minimum 16 rounds every day. You can chant more. That way your mind is always focused on Krishna. Yeah. So we need to, control the mind. The mind is always, going out of control, going here, there, everywhere. So the person who can't control their mind, just like, you have binary technology, right? That's computers, binary technology. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. So when you get on the internet, you can go in there to see one thing, but then you see another thing, then you see another thing, and you can stay on the internet for hours, right? Because that's what it's all about. It's binary energy. It takes you from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing. So it's a dangerous technology. Let's put it like that. So with Krishna consciousness is more about meditating on one thing. That's Krishna. All right. So it's not really a binary technology. And therefore, to get these young kids to meditate on one thing is very difficult now. There's so many things that catch their attention, and you can see this. So let's say when there's a party, right, or a sleepover, right, and then these kids come together, and they're saying this and they're saying that, and they're just talking and all excited, and and it's basically all useless, uh, useless talk, and they can't stay focused on one thing. They're going from one thing to another thing. So what do we learn when we come to class? We learn to focus on one thing, Krishna. That's what we're learning. So if we can focus on one thing, and if that thing is Krishna, then we are on a transcendental level. If we can't focus on one thing because the weakness of the mind, then we're in the material world. If we focus on one thing, Krishna, we're in the spiritual world, even though we're in the material world. Because everything depends on what's going on in the mind. So, yeah, it is possible that externally it looks as if someone is a devotee, but internally there's a what you would call a whole series of sense gratification thoughts. But when your inner thoughts are Krishna consciousness and your outer statements or talks are Krishna consciousness, then you've become Krishna conscious. But sometimes it's possible that the inner thoughts are always based on sense gratification, and in a some kind of a fake way, a person seems to be Krishna conscious externally. So our life should be internally and externally focused on Krishna. Then we become very happy and peaceful. We're not leading a double life, we don't have any darkness in our life.
When you say sense gratification, it means even subtle senses, right?
Yes. Yeah. The mind, intelligence, false ego. Yeah. So we have to purify all those things through, basically, it's through chanting. That's why it's recommended to chant always. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There's no limit to how much you can chant. There's a minimum, though. It has to be at least 16 rounds, but there's no maximum. So, Haridas Thakur, 23 and a half hours a day chanting Hare Krishna. Okay? So it's possible. Of course, we can't imitate him, but we can chant regularly and think about Krishna regularly. You know, and everything you see actually has been made by Krishna. You know, nature and all the beautiful things in nature, it's all been made by Krishna. So therefore, whatever you see that's in nature, you're seeing the artistic and scientific perfection of the Lord. So, for example, let's say there's a painting like, the Mona Lisa. It's a very famous painting. So you look at the painting, there's two ways of looking at it. One is you're looking at the lights and shadows in the painting. The other way of looking at it is thinking whoever made this painting is a wonderful person. So in the same way, we're looking at nature and we're appreciating in the mountains and the clouds and the sky and the trees and everything. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is whoever made this is the most brilliant engineer, philosopher, etc. So that means that you're thinking about Krishna now because you're appreciating what you're seeing, but you have to appreciate who put it all together. All right. It didn't happen by itself. Nothing happens by itself. Everything is intelligence driven. Of course, the nonsense people, they get Nobel Prizes because they find something some discovery that they make, But on the other hand, they say that nature was always there. There's no God. So they say, well, nature has always been existing. There's no need to talk about God. So whenever they do something, they want their name published. They get a Nobel Prize. And they get it, their name becomes famous. But when they see the amazing nature, they want to say nobody did it. It happened somehow or other over time. So one time there was a man who built just like you have the Ram temple, right? So he made a structure of the universe, a small structure of the universe, and it was amazing. So he invited some atheists to come, and atheists came, and he looked at it and said, "This is wonderful." He said, "Did you make it?" And the person said, "No." He said, "What do you mean, no? Obviously you made it." Said, no, no, no. Just fell out of the sky right into my house. I said, "No, I don't believe that. It's nonsense. You're just pulling my leg, He said, "Wait a minute. Let's go outside for a second." So they go outside. And he said, "You saw what I made, this so-called imitation of the universe. And now we're looking at the actual universe. You insisted that I made the copy of it, a very minor copy of it. Now we're seeing the real thing, and you're saying nobody made it." He said, this is not honest. This is not rational. You can't say that, oh, you're insisting that I made the copy, but when you see the real thing, you say nobody made it. You know? So this is the false, let's say, narrative of the scientists. You know, they will not say that God made everything. They'll say, oh, there was this thing, that thing, there was a big bang. That is like the most stupid explanation of how the world started. Big bang. If I make a big bang in your kitchen, is it going to create something or is it going to destroy something? You know, nothing is made by a big bang. Everything is made by a big intelligence. Yeah, intelligence of a supreme personality of Godhead. So there's a lot of craziness in this world, and people are talking nonsense all the time. Although they use big language, but in the end, it's just nonsense, and they know it. They know it's nonsense, but they are expert at bluffing. By the way, no major breakthrough in science has been made in the last almost 100 years. The only breakthrough was uh, the what do you call it?
Gravity.
Electromagnetism. Yeah, gravity and electromagnetism. That's the two things. And gravity, they don't completely understand. Electromagnetism, yeah, because they're making so many things with it. Yeah, that's it. There hasn't been any other major breakthrough. They talk about things, you know, nano this, nano that, but it's basically electromagnetism. That was there. That's still going on today, but they haven't found anything else that they can use practically. You know, I mean, electromagnetism. There's a lot of things you can do with it. So therefore, they're just bluffing now. They didn't make, you know, electromagnetism, and they made a lot of things from it. But today, it's nothing. They're just going on on, you know, computers and things like that. It's all electromagnetic stuff. So, but there are many other energies in the universe that they haven't discovered, nor can they control it. You know, and they don't know. You know, and I mean, therefore they have to bluff, and that's basically Prabhupada said they're just bluffing now. There's nothing. They're not making any major scientific discoveries anymore. So we should not be misled. People say, "Well, look, we make bridges, we make tunnels, we have airplanes, all you know, ingenuity of man." Well, yeah, they're all imitations of things that are already there, right? The birds fly through the air, so they learn something about aerodynamic forces by watching the birds fly, and now they made airplanes. But they still haven't figured out how to stop old age, disease, and death. Now, if you know how to stop old age, disease, and death, that is the perfection of science. And all through history, people have tried to find a way of becoming immortal. That's the real purpose of science, to attain immortality. Then their science has become perfect. But they're going about it in the wrong way. And if you read Bhagavad Gita, it is a treatise of how to attain immortality. And that's the oldest book in the world. So you see how foolish they are. There's already a book. It's been extant, or it's been existing since millions of years. When first Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, or even before that, when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Vivaswan, the sun god, right? So the knowledge of immortality has been there from the beginning of time, but they don't accept that. And this is the problem. Prabhupada said once, the problem is they want to experiment everything. They don't want to follow Shastra. If they don't experiment, then they don't think it's valid, whatever the Shastra is saying. He said that is their fault. They don't accept Shastra. They want to experiment everything. But you cannot experiment everything. We have imperfect senses. We have 4 fundamental defects. We have imperfect senses. We have a cheating propensity. We make mistakes. We're easily illusioned. Huh?
Deluded.
What?
Illusion, yeah.
Illusion.
Acting.
Yeah. We make mistakes. We're easily illusioned. We have imperfect senses, and we have a cheating propensity. So how can we come up with the truth? Very difficult. But if we accept the truth by higher authorities like Vyasadeva and so forth, then we can understand. It's very simple. But if we want our own truth, like one time this one Armenian guy called me up. He had read something that I had written. And he said, I was very interested in what you wrote. And I said, oh, well, that's good. And he said, I said, well, you can, if you come and discuss some more together, I can show you some other things. He says, no, I want to find it myself. I said, well, good luck. So I want to find it myself. It's not always going to work. Maybe you'll find something, but no, it's not going to work because you have to have bona fide spiritual master. And then spiritual master will bless you with all the knowledge necessary to be free from the cycle of birth and death. Okay. So now if let's take a look at Jesus Christ for a minute here, because he's a very interesting person. He ostensibly was killed, and then he resurrects. And then he walks around, freaks everybody out for 40 days. And then they saw him go up into the sky and disappeared, and went to his father, Krishna. Now, he's an interesting person. And ostensibly, he was killed. And then he resurrects from the dead. He walks around, scares everybody for 40 days. And then he sort of flies up into the sky and disappears. So, is this true or not true? This is a big question. He could have been a yogi. Now, yogis know how to hold their breath. They know a whole bunch how to do many, many, let's say, supernatural things. He could have been a number one yogi and feigned his death, and then walked around for 40 days and then disappeared. So we don't know what actually really happened. But if you're a Christian, you have to have faith that he resurrected from the death. If you don't believe that Jesus resurrected from the death, you're not really a Christian. Now, is there anybody else that has resurrected from death? No. Nobody in the history of the world has ever resurrected after they died, right? It's only Jesus Christ. That's why people are talking about him today. That's what made him famous. He resurrected from the dead, from death. Yeah. Now, is it true? He could have been,
I think in our some of the Puranas, there are stories, right, Maharaj? People who died, but then with the mercy of the Lord.
Yeah, but I mean that's different. That's a
Mm.
little different. Not in the Christian world.
Correct, correct.
Yeah. So and you can't be a Christian if you don't believe that Jesus resurrected. Okay. Now, today it's hard for people to accept that. You know, because they're too hard. They're like too much materialistic. You know, they have to have proof. You know, the Prabhupada said, you know, they have to experiment everything. You know, but you can't know everything through experimentation. There's some things that you can't experiment. So you have to accept superior knowledge. And Prabhupada used that argument also. He'd be speaking about something, and someone would challenge him, and Prabhupada would say, okay, well, you give your explanation, so I don't have one. He said, then you have to accept mine. Because you don't have any explanation, but I'm giving you the explanation. So, and he's right. If you don't have an explanation of something, then you should accept his explanation. Right? And there's many things they don't have explanations for in life. They're still, you know, studying and coming up with theories, and then the theories get junked, and a new theory has to come up, and so forth. So in this way, it's much better just to accept the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and not argue. Otherwise, people will always be arguing, always trying to find new ways, or in other words, reinvent the wheel. The wheel was invented 100,000 years ago. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. All right, so we can stop right there. Any questions? Any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribol.
Maharaj, I just have a small question. So, my mother, so as we are on this topic of meditation, so my mother is completely into this meditation. So she sits for hours and hours and hours. So at one stretch, she has done 40 days without sleep during the nights. Even sleep is in the meditation, something. So she is going through lot of classes, etc. I always wonder whether all her efforts are futile, or if, in Kali Yuga, I understand that we have very less time, and it's not easy to reach God through this meditation. But all her efforts are useless, or I'm trying to make her understand. But she is also getting lot many classes from her gurus, etc.
Okay, that's a good question. How old is your mother?
She is 57 now.
How long has she been meditating?
From past 5-6 years, but before that she was searching for guru. She read lot of books, and somehow she landed into pyramid meditation.
Into
And
what?
then
She
it's
landed into.
it's pyramid meditation, where there's one big chain, like he's called Patriji. So where they start trying to heal themselves through meditation itself, like lot many things in that area. But overall also they will also teach to be submissive, lot many things she used to share with me. But ultimately, but one thing what I noticed is that she stopped doing puja and all the other services which we used to do regularly from my childhood, which I used to see.
Yeah, she got zapped by the Mayavadis.
That I used to call her, but she is not in a stage to understand because of her lot many classes what she's going through.
Yeah, Mayavadis think everything Vaishnavas do is waste of time.
Mm.
So is she happy?
Yeah, she's happy, and all the relatives surrounding her, they also says that she is little bit shiny through her skin or through meditation, she's a little more energetic and her aura is a little more better than others. That's what our relatives used to say after she started this meditation. And she has strong confidence, like whenever something comes, she tries to heal herself through meditation, but I couldn't understand that at all. And now I sometimes wonder whether is it all these hours are just wasted, or is there any small percentage that this gets credit or something like that?
Well, she's not ostensibly committing any sinful activities, I guess.
Yes, yes.
So there's some benefit there. And does she eat meat? I don't think so.
No, 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 no. It also they also teach similarly that don't hurt any other animals, don't do himsa, all these things. Like most of the things, like whatever we learn here, that's what I'm hearing from her too.
Does she ever say the name of Krishna?
No, but they call it universe. So they
What?
name universe, the power.
Oh, the universe. Yeah.
Yes, the nature which you are also telling earlier. So they named it as
Shakti.
nature.
Shakti. You're interested in Shakti.
Yes, energy. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's a Mayavadi, and there's some benefit, but she's not going to go back to Godhead. But she might get another human birth because she's not committing gross sins. So there's some benefit. But is she happy? Is she
Yes, she is very happy. She is very happy.
okay?
But sometimes we do worry as well because she sits in that meditation for hours and hours. She don't come out. So at least I don't understand that, like how can someone, but maybe she's getting trained in that manner. But I'm also
Does she preach to anyone?
no, not yet.
Okay,
But
so
she
that's the.
always thinks. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Maharaj. So, but she always feels that she don't has that capability, but she wants to. Whoever she sees, she feels like telling them and trying to make them understand this philosophy, etc. To everyone, whoever comes through on her way.
The philosophy of meditation.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you see, she is more or less in the mode of goodness, I think. She doesn't eat meat or anything like that, right?
Yes, yes. She don't eat meat and no, she don't do any, at least these offenses, what we
Yeah,
regularly discuss, she don't do that. But
yeah.
I also have one question, Maharaj. So that energy, do we really need to call it as Krishna? Then only Krishna will reciprocate?
Yes. I mean, look, Krishna is a person. Energy is not a person. So they're not interested in the source of the energy. They're only interested in the energy. That's Mayavad philosophy. So therefore, your mother is a Mayavadi. I mean, she's genuinely a good person, but she doesn't have any love for Krishna. That's for sure. But she's a person in the mode of goodness. Let's put it like that. So next birth, she'll probably be a human being and get another chance of becoming Krishna conscious. Because she doesn't look, she doesn't have love for Krishna. She probably believes, look, I don't commit any sinful activities. I don't bother anybody else. Okay, that's good. That's not bad. But there's no love for Krishna. The whole thing about Krishna consciousness is we're teaching people to love Krishna. is a very special thing. And most people have difficulty with that. But they can meditate. They can, avoid committing sinful activities, things like that. But does she have love for Krishna? Let me ask you that question. Is she making offerings to Krishna every day?
No, no.
Does she offer her food to Krishna?
No, they believe it as energy, and they don't feel to do any service like other than that. So what she is telling is it's the next level of what you are doing. That's what she's telling. So we don't need to please that energy with all the services is what her mode is now, as of now.
Yeah, I mean, she's been contaminated by the Mayavadis. They believe in Shakti or this or that. They don't really believe in Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, I mean, it's not really the mode of goodness. It's a low grade, very low grade mode of goodness. Because she's not committing any gross sinful activities. But by avoiding love for Krishna, she's cheating herself. Because when you love Krishna, then your life becomes transcendental. If you just meditate, you're not really engaged in something that's transcendental. It's an exercise. It's not transcendental realization. So anyway, it's let's say it's a very low step in the right direction.
Mhm.
Uh, so you can't really argue with her because she's convinced that what she's doing is the right thing.
About the one our philosophy.
It's what?
She's convinced that her philosophy is higher than what we are doing.
Yeah, of course. She thinks that Krishna consciousness is some kind of wishy-washy, sentimental stuff.
Not that really, but she says that when a little more when we need to connect to God, so that is the direct path or something like that. They got teaching that way.
Who is God? What is their knowledge of God?
Yeah.
Who is God?
So
Does she
they'll
ever
call
say
it
who's God?
yeah,
Yeah.
energy. They'll call energy, but yes, God. Yeah.
They don't accept Krishna as God. Is that right? He
I
doesn't.
mean, so they call everything is energy, but I really didn't had this direct question to my mom. Um, but at least I was just wondering whether is she wasting all her hours or what is that we can convince.
Okay,
Or,
let me ask you a question. What does she meditate on?
so first step, they have multiple steps like to activate the chakras.
Okay, that's the body.
Yeah. And I don't know all other steps, but at least I know till
Yeah, all
this
right. So
one. Yeah.
that's she's just being someone who has been tricked by the Mayavadis, thinking that she's making spiritual advancement by meditating all the time. But it's not real meditation because real meditation is when you're always thinking of Krishna with love and devotion. That's real meditation. You should ask her, what is she thinking about when she meditates? Nothing.
It's about catch your breath is what she says.
What does she say? What?
Understand your breath, where it emanates from. Or
Okay, understand your breaths. I understand it. Yeah. That's the
yeah,
body. She's
yeah,
meditating on her body. So it's
yeah.
not really spiritual. It's bodily focused meditation. You see, she's on the bodily level still. She hasn't come to the spiritual level. And that's the problem with the Mayavadis, they don't believe God exists. They're atheists. And Basically, what she's doing is a complete waste of time. Complete waste of time. It's zero. In fact, it's minus zero. But if you tell her that, she'll get upset. So the only way you can help her is to cook for her. Does she cook a lot?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Does she offer the food to Krishna?
No, Maharaj. Earlier she used to do, but after all this classes, um, she don't think that we need to offer, do
Do you
puja and
do
all
you,
this.
do you
Mm.
live with her?
No, she's in India.
Oh, okay, good. So you don't have to eat her Mayavad food. She's been poisoned. She's been poisoned by all these hodgepodge. Uh, well, what's the movement that she's in?
It's called Patriji movement.
Okay.
So
Oh,
he just,
Patriji
yeah,
is the founder of it.
yeah.
You see, our movement is Krishna consciousness, but all these phony so-called gurus, they name the movement after themselves. You see, so that's that proves that the whole thing is a hoax. It's all nonsense. So everything she's doing, she's just wasting her time, not really making any spiritual advancement, unfortunate for her. You should ask her, does she have any love and of Krishna or love and devotion for Krishna? She stopped doing all the offerings and everything. She just meditates.
Yes.
So she's become a complete Mayavadi.
He died.
What?
This died in 2022.
Well, then she's meditating on a ghost. Patraji died in
2020, 2 years back, man.
2 years back, 2022. So she's meditating on a ghost right now.
So they don't meditate on the red Maharaj, they meditate on the energy.
Yes.
Pyramid.
Well, okay. So there's not much you can say because she's been basically made ignorant by this movement of the Mayavadis. So let me tell you something. If you really want to help your mother, then every time you see her, how often do you see your mother?
So it's in the phone. We talk every day, morning and evening.
What do you talk about?
Mostly we talk like what I have done today, about the temple services, what's going on, about my work, etc. But we talk about lot about the classes which I'm attending and what I'm getting. Like, let's say there's something we discussed and I'll try to discuss the same. So most of the things she's also getting the same thing. Like, in fact, um, don't hurt anyone, be humble, like all these things. It's in similar lines when we think about it. So they also talk about karma. Everything happens for a reason. It's not just emanated directly. You would have done some past karma. All these things I hear in a similar lines. But I don't know. There's no succession, etc. Guru, parampara. Nothing is there, I feel.
Does she mention the name of Krishna?
Not Krishna, but they call it universe.
The universe.
Yes, it's
Well,
energy. Yeah, it's energy, Maharaj. So they are naming all the gods. It's energy. Yes, basically at the end, it's energy. That's what they call.
anyway, she's been completely misled, but she's convinced about what she's doing. So there's not much you can say to her. You should be just very kind to her and Don't listen to any nonsensical things she says about her meditation. But you should be very kind and respectful. After all, she's your mother. And if you ever go see her, you should cook nice prasadam for her. Offer it and give her a very nice prasadam.
Sure, Maharaj.
There's not much you can do because when a person gets so deep into Mayavad philosophy, it's very difficult to bring them back. But if they see you and all the nice things you're doing to please Krishna, eventually it might make a a very positive impression on her. Does she talk about what you do?
Yes, Maharaj.
You're making
So she
offering?
never debates with me because she loves me more. So if I am in this path, she never debates me that no, this is not correct or something like that. But she says this is also a way to connect to God or energy. And she says that some people will be inclined or easiest for them. Chanting is more easiest for them, and for my mother and their group of people, it's meditation. That's what she says.
Well, you don't want to get into an argument with your mother. So as long as you're happy being Krishna conscious, and every time you see your mother, you should cook for her, give her a nice prasadam, offer it, and give it to her. Will she accept prasadam?
Yes, yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Just keep giving her prasadam. You have a father?
Yes, yes.
So he doesn't do what your mother does, right? Or he does?
He is worried, like she's sitting for hours and hours. So she tries to minimize that, but
Well, that's good in one sense, she doesn't nag your father. So that's pretty good. He must be a pretty peaceful guy. Does he work still or he's at home all the
he
time?
retired, Maharaj. He retired. So he's feeling alone being in the same house because she is in meditation. She wakes up at 3:30
Yeah.
um, and sitting till 8 in the morning or 9 in the meditation and all. So,
Well, at least they're not arguing. That's the main thing.
yeah.
This was like whenever a Mayavadi gets into an argument, he goes into uh, and starts meditating, and the argument is over. So, look, is your father interested in Krishna consciousness?
Yes, he keeps chanting.
He
So,
has beads. He chants on his beads.
yeah, yes, yes.
Okay, so the mother doesn't try and influence him. Then
Mm.
he's
Yeah,
he.
yeah. They both are in their own ways, but they don't debate each other, at least on this one.
Does your father go to the temple?
Yes, yes, Maharaj. My mother also goes to temple,
Okay.
but the only way what she thinks is this is the way to connect to that energy of God. So she goes to temple. Yes.
Okay. Well, look, give her time. She needs a little bit of time here. As long as you and your father are devotees, she's outnumbered. And eventually she'll come to her senses by your sincerity and your love for her. Your love for her. You should give her a lot of prasadam. What does she eat?
Eat the same vegetarian food, Maharaj. So salads
No, but
and yeah.
no, but is it offered to Krishna?
No, not offered to Krishna.
Okay, so she lives in India. You live here in the
Yes,
United
yes,
States.
Maharaj. Yeah, I'm
So,
here in Redmond.
how long do you see her? Like once a year or once every couple of years?
Yes, yes.
And she ever comes and stay? Does she ever come and stay with you?
Yeah, she came last year. She's here for 1 month and she came to temple as well. She's very happy. Um, she relished the prasadam and she's very happy. So I took her every alternated day to the temple here. So
Well, one suggestion is that you should send her prasadam once a week. And if you do that, it doesn't have to be a lot, it could be just a little bit, but
mhm.
send it to her. And,
No.
and always have a little note with it, and say, with love, this is for you, Mata. I love you very much. That'll touch her heart. And it's prasadam. So it doesn't have to be a big thing, it can be a little bit of small sweets or something. And she'll appreciate that.
Sure,
The
Maharaj.
prasadam is a transcendental substance. So if you can send her something like, burfi or some type of, does she like sweets?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, Maharaj.
Then definitely then send her every week. Send her some prasadam. And always have a little note saying, love and devotion, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Let her say that also, or at least read it.
Sure, Maharaj.
Okay?
Yeah, sure, Maharaj. Thank you. Sorry for extending.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Look, you got to take care of your mom. She took care of you. Now you have to take care of her. Get her out of the clutches of Mayavad philosophy gradually through prasadam. So every week you should send her some nice burfi or something, some nice sweet.
Sure, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Thank you.